Welcome to Hustle Lounge. Sincere thanks to our audience and their feedback on our episodes so far. Your response has been so encouraging, and we are glad that you're liking all the messaging and all the discussions that we're having on the episodes.
At Hustle Lounge, we bring real, relatable narratives of entrepreneurs from world over. If you're a startup enthusiast, you're surely at the right place. Expect life lessons, hacks, and some real learnings, and of course, a fun chat.
We have our content on various platforms like Apple, Ghana, Spotify, YouTube, and so on. The content is available in both video and audio formats to make it convenient for you to consume. In this episode of the Hustle Lounge, we are interacting with the founders of Luuma, Diksha and Divya. Luuma is an eco-friendly home decor brand, and Luuma means to be found and established. Luuma as a brand name is inspired by someone whose life stories are very clear to us, someone who lives with us now through our passions. So, Garima, interesting episode that we're going to have today. What is the main hustle that we're going to highlight?
Yeah, well, I think with so many entrepreneurs that we've spoken to, and everybody has a game plan and so much research, and I think that's great. I don't think that's a bad idea, but I think more often than not, most people don't start businesses because they always end up being in this analysis paralysis, and they never end up crossing it. So I think here are these two commercial pilots who have followed their gut, and that's a clear hustle that we'll be talking about today. So, having said that, both of you, I understand that, you also mentioned that, you were dabbling with several ideas previously. You even tried some. What made you so convinced about coming together for Luuma and finding each other?
Yeah. So after I quit my job, there were a lot of ideas, a lot of projects that were coming, and, but nothing could get concrete because, like you said, that there's so much, and, once you start digging into it, you just know that you're not ready for it, right? You just procrastinate to a point. And then happened, when we started traveling, and I did a few courses, and I realized that, everything led to, everything was pointing out to how I wanted the things to look. I tried to do a lot of passion projects. I researched. And in the end, everything was just focusing on how aesthetically it will look more than how it will be technical and how it will function. Everything just pointed out. And then I'm like, okay, fine, maybe this is something I wanted to do. And that's when I was traveling and I met Divya, and I, told her about this idea, and she was on the same page that, we travel so much, and why can't we just bring in elements of everything to something that we do and something that we want to do. Yeah.
So one solo backpacking trip turned into one hustle,
Clearly, fantastic. Fantastic.
But how do you identify a market need, Diksha and Divya? Like if I have to bring it that one aspect that, like you said, you started off talking about this concept and then you thought, let's do it, right? So, but before doing that, how did you identify that there's actually a market need for something like this?
So, I would just trying to point out the whole process of how we started is, it was first me, I knew the direction I wanted to get into, and I wanted to know what I wanted to do, but I was not very clear because this is a new territory, right? So, even after speaking to Divya, I was not very sure about how I would want to take it. And, it's a funny thing because I was at my friend's and I saw a basket. And I saw how beautifully it turned that, a bamboo basket into a lamp. And, then that just gave me a direction. Okay, fine. This is something I want to explore into. This is something I could, dig into and figure out. And then when I told the same thing to Divya and coming about the market research, and we started doing a lot of groundwork. We went to a lot of stores. We went to a lot of websites. We started seeing what is available, and what I personally saw, at least in Delhi and in Bangalore, that, when you talk about these natural materials, either things were very basic and, what we've seen for all these years, very very basic elements were available, or bulky, expensive furniture was available. And so, that's what the market, I thought that there was no middle ground in it. And that's what personally attracted towards it, that I wanted to find a middle ground in redefining all these elements and, kind of bringing out more into it. And that's when me and Divya both started meeting our artisans. We started talking to them. We had to do a lot of analysis about, their artistic capabilities into who can do what. who can design what, who can, experiment with what, because there's so much natural material. And that's how, we realized that there was a need to kind of find that middle ground, because not many brands were doing that.
I think one other thing that we saw while we were doing all this exploration was that we were ourselves amazed to see what our country has to offer. Because we are quite limited in seeing the natural fibers around us. The way we are brought up and we see things around us. So, we are more or less accustomed to seeing bamboo, rattan, those kind of things. And when we started digging and exploring more and more, we saw that the country also has other natural fibers like water hyacinth, water reed. There is pine needle. There is moonch grass, sabai grass. There is banana fiber, and you name it. It's endless. So that digging and finding out about different kind of natural fibers and what you can do and play around with was in itself a journey. And that was amazing to know that it's India, owing to its tropical climate, you have all these kind of fibers that you can work around with, which have not yet been explored into. So so one was that. And then you, like Diksha rightly said, what you are used to seeing is basic elements. And when we saw that there are so many natural fibers available, why not turn this also into something, which is more designer, and you get more designs coming into the market with natural fibers, which people are not really used to seeing.
Yeah.
Sure. So, with all of this that, in terms of the research that you did and connecting with all these artisans, and a lot of that work happened during the pandemic and you launched during the pandemic. I'm sure there were challenges for other startups who have, who are now figuring out some ground, or who may have thought of an idea and could not execute, or, are there any challenges that you want to illustrate and talk about, and how did you overcome them? Considering I understand that such a business, which is very high on aesthetics, a lot has to do with how you pitch the product, to your customer, and how you make them visualize how like exactly like Diksha said, she saw a banana basket, and it was just
Right.
it was just done differently, and that visual gave her an idea of how to sort of use it in her space, right? Your customers were scattered, your artisans were scattered, and how did you kind of overcome that challenge? Is there a model around it that you created?
So, handcrafted businesses largely, I would say, a high EQ business. It's, high on emotional quotient. You have to be sensitive to the artisans. You need to understand, what their limitations are, what their capabilities are. Even pandemic or no pandemic, we have things like it's raining a lot, the bamboo is not dried, people can't come, they can't work because, it's flooded. Here, we're not talking about machines being able to produce mass products. We're talking about a person, an artisan coming and sitting and, having a beautiful frame of mind and, being able to produce a beautiful product. So the entire handcrafted business is very, very high on emotional quotient, pandemic or no pandemic. And when pandemic happened, one of the only things that we were hustling or battling with was, artisans coming and telling us that, hey, we had like this bulk order of 300, 500 baskets, but that guy has just suddenly, canceled the order. Because in the pandemic, you were having people not coming and buying. The product companies were not having many buyers. The service companies were not able to service their customers. So when the cancellation happened, these guys reached out to us and they said, listen, we are in this position. What do we do? So it's, the entire thing is more of a sense of community that we have. We are working with them, making sure that, they are okay and, they are taken care of. And it's likewise, they take care of us also in return. So pandemic or no pandemic, our issues remain the same. But one of the key things that we were battling were, apart from they taking orders from us, they're also taking orders from other people, which kept getting cancelled. So we came in at that point in time trying to say that, okay, hey, hang in there. We are there to take care of you. So, yeah.
How did you manage the restrictions, because there were different kind of lockdown and, restrictions happening in different states. like after the
Yeah.
unlock even started last year, and this year also we saw in the second wave, that when things were closing down, it was closing down at separate stages in different states. How did you manage these restrictions, be it with respect to managing your supply chain and your artisans as well as your customers?
So logistics was a challenge, like pan India and everywhere, right? Suddenly, everything was shut down. So this was a challenge. Not only did we know, but also the buyers knew about it. So
Yeah.
people were very, very considerate enough, saying that hey, and we went ahead and we told the buyers that the lead times are going to increase. We may not be able to deliver in 30 days. We might take 45 days, 60 days, etc. But where the artisans came in were, they stepped in and they said, listen, we're going to work from home. And we needn't be able to come to the workshop and work, but, we can work. And there was this big cluster that we work with. They overnight, they just, sent out the work to all the artisans, the women and their homes. So they're able to take care of the kids and everything. And so logistically, it was not such a bigger challenge for us. Also because we have a very strong redundant system. So let's say if there was an order of 500 things, we were able to kind of distribute that between two clusters.
And I would like to add that all our artisans are very, very, persistent, very resilient, and so are we. Because we have created a network like that, because there's so much personal involvement that it's almost as personal. This is not just business; it's almost as personal to deliver a certain thing. And I'm very happy that over the periods that we've created that kind of relationship with the artisans, that they also take it like that. Like this, so many times we've gone to them and said that, listen, you need to help us out here, and they have, vice versa, they have come to us. Like Divya rightly mentioned that somebody had cancelled a big order, and they had not paid the advance, and he's like, listen, I need you to help me, I need you to do something about it. And so did we. So I think we are very persistent, we are very resilient in that way, so that has helped us.
See, the other thing that we are doing in kind of trying to establish this relationship is, for example, when you have to make the system very redundant, having 2-3 clusters for a particular type of fiber. We don't have many clusters in India. The craftsmanship is still building. So there are a lot of new clusters also which are coming up within the country. So what we do is, like let's say a new cluster says that, okay, this is my limitation, this is my capability, this is what I'm able to produce, this is the kind of weave I'm capable of, but I'm willing to learn more, I'm willing to push the boundary. So in that case, we tell them that, hey, there is a more seasoned cluster. Let me get a product from there. Let me show it to you how these guys do it. So it's a sense of community which we are trying to. It's not only like, for us at Luuma, we're not trying to put a product out there and say that, hey, please come and buy the product. It's not that. It's a journey for us.
So thanks, Diksha and Divya. That was very insightful, and clearly a hustle there to speak to artisans really all over the country. And in terms of, like you said, pandemic, no pandemic. I think the sheer sort of length and breadth of our country is so wide in terms of not only in terms of the geography, but also in terms of talent. And surely it's a hustle. You also mentioned building that community and giving that back, and of course that clearly comes across as a very big goal for you. How are you, and I want to break it down for the benefit of listeners and viewers, in whichever format they are sort of consuming this content, to understand pricing models. How did you, and I don't mean something really at high level, but really at for someone who wants to start, and who may be looking at any product, not necessarily in the same line of business. And pricing today has become so complex, right? So was there like a little methodology, or what was your process, or what were the steps that you took to price the product? Of course, needless to say, to ensure that your artisans make the most, and also your customers get value. So how did you, what were your sort of thought, what was your thought process there, or what were the steps taken to price your products?
Yeah, Garima. So we have actually done a lot of market research. We have studied, pricing models of different brands. Even on foot, like personally, I've gone to stores, I've gone to shops, I've gone to various of places to kind of see, how people are like, because we also did a lot of research into seeing what people are paying for. It's not about how much they're paying for; it's about what we are paying for, right? So we have done all that, and then I think then we also went to our artisans. We saw everything being made and how much time it took for it to be made, and how much effort they have put in. And I think Divya might have like a product, which we can show, because I really wanted to talk about that.
I'm so happy to show this.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So, here, what we wanted to show you guys is how intricate the design is, how thin the layers are. So when we went and met the cane artisans and we saw the whole process of how, cane is kind of made into this beautiful product is they spend hours in just peeling, first burning cane. They need to burn the cane to kind of put it into a different shape. Now, to get that shape in itself, it takes 3-4 hours. And because they've burned it, then they need to peel it with the knife. This is all a manual process, right? So once they have the shape and everything ready, which takes about 7 to 8 hours, then they, put it into a nice, beautiful product. So, so that's what Disha was talking
Yeah,
about.
so every
in
not
terms of
every
what
week we actually saw it, we sat with them and we saw it, and then that's what we spoke to a lot of people, and I think we very firmly stand on this, that our pricing model is based on the fact that we value and we respect their time and their effort, and we also respect our time and our effort and all the passion that we're putting in. And we are also sensitive towards our customer in providing them the balance between the value and the design that they're paying for. So we have actually done a lot of research. We have spoken to people. We have done a lot of pricing models to kind of figure out that none of these aspects are kind of neglected here, including ourselves, to be very honest, because even we put in a lot of passion and a lot of work into this.
Yeah.
So that's how we've
I think what she's saying is, I would like to reiterate here, it's not how much you're paying, it's what you're paying for, because we've seen that time and again that, customers demand value for what they are paying. And at Luuma, we are very, 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 we are eco-conscious. It's a complete eco-friendly brand, but we are customer-centric brand as well. So yeah, that's the core at where we lie in terms of our pricing and products.
Yeah, yeah. So I just actually have a quick follow-up question here. So you meant that, so you were physically, going to stores which you saw as competition in terms of where your customers could buy something similar, and you looked at internet. But I mean, what you are doing is something which is not, if I want to buy a basket like that, I don't know how will I get it. I don't even think I'll get it. I'll probably have to get in touch with you only. So how did you kind of peg those products? I'm asking because it's not just your product. An entrepreneur today, they're people, homegrown startups who are looking at starting something in fabric, something in beauty, and it's just that dilemma of how to bring that value. How do you kind of define that value? Can you speak a little bit more about it in terms of how do you really say this is value? My customer will feel good, paying this. Like you said, it's what you pay for, and of course, it trickles down to the last person in that chain, which is your artisan.
I think here largely we bring a lot of focus to quality, which I mentioned in earlier also. So it's not only design that we are talking about. Like you rightly said, these kind of designs that we are doing here at Luuma, you don't find it anywhere. So it's very difficult to kind of say that, okay, this is what is the value of this product. But it's not only the design, it's the quality that we are bringing along with the designs. People can make great designs out of any product. They can even make a great design out of plastic, but here we're bringing in a great design along with great quality. And that, so to give you a sense of, things, we don't send any product to the customer unless and until it is vetted by us. So once you have that quality and the design and the effort, and like Diksha mentioned that, we are sensitive towards the fact that the artisan has put in so much amount of their time, energy into making that product, right? So when you combine all those elements into it, and from the research and everything that we have done, and seeing that what people are paying for rather than how much they're paying, you kind of find the balance over there and say, okay, this is the segment that we can be in.
And also the research that we did, to add on to what Garima said, it wasn't just the people, the brands we thought, were competitions, or we did actually research in different materials also. We went to fabric shops, we went to wooden shops. Like, I have been to all sorts of markets, to give you an idea. I also went to a very, very high design store in, MG Road. So that doesn't have that. They are not our competition. We are not their competition, right? They're selling furniture worth 4 lakhs. So, but I went there to see what people would want to pay for. What are they bringing to the table? And I also saw that value in somebody selling something for 500 rupees, because I wanted to see what is that people pay for instead of how much they want to pay for. And that's why we value the craftsmanship and the skill of, the artisans here. And, we have various artisans, like I've mentioned before also, we know that everybody has their limitations and everybody has their own their own creativity. And we know that, if this is a design that we want to sell, there's only one guy who can make it. We're very certain that he's only going to make it. So, we can get it done from different artisans, but it will not match up to our standard, because we have seen that product made in a very, very high, resolution. I will not even say quality, because everybody is beautifully designing things. The design is the same, but that resolution, that, that intensity of that product, we know that this guy is going to bring on. And that's how we price it, because he also charges for it, because he also knows, right, that this is something that he can bring life into. So I think that's how it helped us design, a pricing model of our products.
True. But Diksha, once you start scaling, right, I'm sure that you'll have to, for example, the lamp that you showed right now, let's say the lamp is being built by a particular artisan or his community. But later on, once you start scaling, you might have to go to different artisans for the same lamp, right? So how can an entrepreneur in that case make sure that there's a standardization in place and the quality checks are being taken care of in between those steps? Because once the product is made, it comes to you, you do the final vetting. But in case there's a defect, then you have to go all the way back to the artisan, make sure that he makes another one or fix the present one. But how do you, as an entrepreneur, create those layers of quality checks and standardizations once you start scaling? Because at the end of the day, one artisan, of course, for a particular design may not suffice in the longer run, and you might have to expand your base of artisans as well for the same kind of lamp that we just saw.
So that is something, Anurag, that we've already started doing. It's not like we are waiting for the scale up to happen and then, we start finding new artisans and seeing their work, etc. So even before we launched, right, we launched in March. So half of Jan and Feb, we have spent 1.5 months in just trying out different artisans, just trying out their products and seeing who has what limitation, what they're capable of, what is the quality like. And then we've identified that, okay, this person can do this person can do that. And how I mentioned before that, let's say one person's capabilities are or limitations are A, and these guys themselves are saying that, listen, we want to do more. So we get the product from a seasoned player or what they have been doing and give it to these guys and train them in parallel, saying that, listen, try this, you can do better, you can do this, you can do that. So this process of training and trying out new products is already going on in parallel. So when we launched in March, now let's say we have a redundant system of 3 artisans who are able to do for one product. Let's take the example of Ratan. So these 3 people are, right now doing all our Ratan related stuff. While they're doing it, we're already in the process of trying more and more artisans and giving them work, giving them one piece and saying that, hey, can you make it exactly according to this? So we're not waiting on that scale up to happen. We're already prepared for that scale up to happen. And that's how we are ensuring our quality and standardization. So we take the product and we show it to them and say, hey, this is what we expect. Can you do this? So they have it in front of them and then they kind of push their boundaries and they say that, this is, yeah. So you get, you know what I mean, right? You just get it at the end.
Also, one more thing we're doing, like the same thing you said, okay, fine, if something is broken and it needs repair, we've also created a system where we have those backups available. It doesn't have to go to the main artisan to be repaired, because we've identified, okay, fine, this is somebody we can use to just, do tweaks in it, design, or, and also we are kind of combining things, like now I have two artisans. One I know is very good in one thing, one is another thing. So to divert the orders, we sometimes get half and half done, like we sometimes tell him, okay, fine, this is what you are right now. Sometimes there's so much, lack of raw material and shortage of raw material. This is what how we have identified in these 4 months that, okay, fine, if you don't have something, we will get you that. We can source it from somebody else who has it and give it to you. We've done that with almost everything now, like, all raw materials we have kind of like, found a way to kind of circle it around and, make that work for, us.
We have spent like literally 18, 20 hours a day digging this country out, trying to figure out, how many people are there per natural fiber. So like Diksha said, there was an instance when part of the raw material was not available with a artisan. So yeah, don't worry, just relax. You just concentrate on doing what you have to do. We will source it, because now we even know where the raw material can be sourced from. So last 4 months has pretty much been, if you've seen our thing, we've not really gone completely live till now. We're only on Instagram. We're not in any marketplace yet. We don't have a website yet. The only platform that we are really sending from is Instagram, and we've got great response from there. And we don't want to go out there full-fledged till the time we are very, very certain and sure of the fact that we have created a redundant system. Like I said, it's a customer-centric brand. The customer should not suffer. The customer should not come and say that, hey, where's my product, or the quality is not good. So when we go out there, we have to be sure that, everything, the entire ecosystem is in place and our supply chain is great.
Yeah, I completely agree with that, because instead of, just expanding digitally, I think it's really important to get hold of your operations and your marketing first in a particular platform. And Instagram, in that case, is really strong. It has a great community, and you can build your customer base on Instagram with the kind of visuals that you already do. I think I love your images. I was just going through the Instagram page right now, and I really loved a few of these images. I've also liked them from my other page. But guys, go check out instagram.com/luma.spaces. We'll put in the links in the show notes below. So please go check them out. I think you'll fall in love with a few of the lamps that I could see. And I would definitely recommend those to you guys for sure. That's a personal recommendation. But yeah, they have everything for everything. So for sure, go check them out. Any last thoughts, Garima, on the episode?
Anurag, I think we lost you. But I think you meant any last thoughts from, Divya, Diksha. We can start, with either of you.
Well, I think from my end, I would just say that, handcrafted industry is a beautiful industry, because it's not only, you're putting a product out there which you want people to come and buy. It's a sense of community that we're trying to build. It's something that we're trying to give back to the community, and also, bring Indian handcrafted products up there on the world stage. That's the mission that we are all part of, be it us, be it the artisans, be it the the resellers or wherever, platform, influencers, all of us. So it's a beautiful journey that we are all a part of. Entrepreneurial journey is absolutely wonderful. We would always recommend everybody to just dive into it.
Yeah, I would just like to add, like what Divya said was exactly what I wanted to say, but also I would like to add that, right now we are also experimenting with, kind of mixing these two brands together, mixing two elements together, and, creating a new design, so that we can redefine all these natural materials in the way how people look at it. And, so we're very excited about that. We have kind of, we never thought that cane could be such an intense, material. And, we're so glad that we could design something without taking assistance of another material, right? Because that's what we'd seen, that, rather than bamboo, usually metal. We are also going to experiment by that. But, like me and Divya were talking yesterday, the intensity of the material in itself has really amazed us. And we're very excited to see that, what all can we do with it, and, how all can we explore the natural materials that are available to us here.
Right.
And disagreement and fights and love and everything in the entrepreneurial journey is, a part of entrepreneurial journey. You will love, you will hate, you will ask yourself a million zillion questions that why the hell did I like jump into it, etc. But
Yeah.
it's a lot of fun. I'm sure, Garima, you are you are aware of the hustles of the entrepreneurial journey.
Sure. No, absolutely. And thank you so much, guys. This was fantastic. I'm a very proud customer of Luuma myself, and I can take my system around to show some more. But great work and super hustlers that absolutely so delighted to meet today, and so many people would learn from you right from I would just reiterate on the hustle to just follow your gut feel. It really sounds like a romantic story, to just do what feels like, you want to do, and do what is right. And if it's right and if you feel for it, just do it. And I know everybody says that, but there are very few people who would quit their mainstream corporate careers, quit flying in your cases, and jump into this. Right? Because everybody is always stuck in analysis paralysis. There are so many people who will tell you perhaps why your business wouldn't work. And here are two women who are, sort of redefining that, battling that, hustling that with their customers, with their artisans, within themselves. So fantastic. Congratulations. And we're very, very happy to have chatted with you today. Thank you.
Thank you, Garima. Likewise. It was a pleasure meeting you and Anurag, and we had a great time over here.
Thanks, guys.
So, guys, thank you all for tuning in today. Please do reach out to us at hustlelounge@sociallydesi.com for any suggestions, feedback, and collaborations that you may have in mind. See you next Tuesday and keep hustling.